Hi everybody, Jo here again. How are you doing? I hope you're feeling well and I hope you had a lovely weekend. I can't believe it, but it's the last page in my Lavinia calendar. So today I'm going to create a design on December's page. And this is the design I've come up with. And I took my inspiration from the design at the bottom of the page, and we've got these gorgeous trees. So I've already added a little bit of sparkle and a few more stamps of our lovely little snowflake stamp, so that when the design's finished, the whole page will be that lovely cohesive design. And all I've done is I've got my Lavinia Low-Tack Tape, fabulous stuff, and I've put it all the way around my calendar. So the stamp set I've gone for is the small pine trees, and what I like is if there's a few individual trees with this. And I went through my colours and I've chosen some of my lovely Versafine Clair colours. I just fancied for December some extra colour, so I've gone for Lilac Bloom to start off with. So I'm going to stamp once here and then a bit of second and third generation, just so I've got that perspective. Because although I'm using different coloured inks, it's nice to use second and third generation just to get another perspective. Now, I don't want to overdo these trees and I don't want it to be symmetrical. So I think we'll just put one that side. And then I'm going to come in with another one, and this time Hawthorn Rose. So you look at different, I just fancied sort of purples and blues for this. Now it might be you want other colours. So maybe have a look at your stamps and just see, and then your inks, and just decide which you want to use. I think it would look lovely in so many different tones. So now I'm going to come in with the largest of the trees, and for this I've gone for the Monarch. So my darker purple, almost to bring this tree to the forefront. This is going to be almost my focal point. And it's a bit long, so what I've done is I've just torn myself a little bit of copy paper just to shorten it a little bit. Now I'm only going to do one of that larger tree, but the last one on the set is a small tree. So I'm thinking I'm just going to put sort of one overlap in there. And again, you know, this would make a fabulous Christmas card. And you could stamp it time and time again, different colours, using different combination of the trees. I think I'm going to put this one whole and right to the front, and then maybe just a second generation there. Right, happy with that, I like that. So with the same colour, what I'm going to use is one of these lovely stamps, and this is the Star Pine, and it's these cones, just to bring some stamping into the corner. So I'm just sort of randomly. That's enough. I don't want too much. I don't want to overcook it. I just want something for that shape in the corners. Does that make sense? Just to almost bring your eye around. So now's the time to bring in a little bit of landscaping. So I'm just going to add the moon mask here. And you know me, I like to turn it round. And I'm going to start with Della Blue. And as always, I'm blending in the lid. You probably can't see it off camera. Can't believe we're at December already. On my calendar, of course. Mind you, November, we're nearly in December in real life, aren't we? So I'm just going to start off and add the blue around the moon mask. And you'll be surprised, look. Just turn it round. How much colour there is there. Della Blue is a lovely light colour. So I just want to add a little bit more. Just in these top corners. And then what I'm going to do, because we want this to look like snow, we're going to use our mini hill masks to create the rest of the sky. So my suggestion is, go for the one with the biggest hills. And the area I'm going to do first is under the moon. And don't worry that it's not wide enough. We can make it wider. So I'm just going to move my ink pad round here. And what I'm going to do is just keep that shape going under the moon. It'll look nicer if I keep that shape. And I'll just carry that on here with the blue. And you see how now we've got the snow. And then what I can do is just mimic this here to finish this little bit. Carry that shape on. There we go. Lovely. And then I want to add some colour under the trees. So what I'm going to do is come down to a number 3 brush now. And just look here if I can get... Well, I think under this one, this is going to have to be one on its own. And these two I can catch with this. And I just want to add that little bit of shadowing just under the trees. And again, I'm just altering the mini hill masks to get that sort of shape where I want it. Now I can get them two together. And then where I've got sort of this area here, I don't want it the same shape as that, so we'll go, I think, there. Just want to add a little, just as though there's that shadowing in the snow. It just makes it look sort of more believable if there's a little bit in the distance. There, I'm going to stop there. I'm happy with that. I'm going to put the lid on that. But what I am going to do is come in with violet chalk. Now, recently, you'll see I've been using violet chalk in the sky a lot. It just makes it look like that lovely snowy sky. But also with this, it brings these colours together. So I'm going to start in the corner. Bring in that violet chalk and then just gently go right across the sky and across the moon. So it'll look like that nice cloud. And then over to this corner. And then when I've got less ink on my brush, I'm just going to add a little bit sort of on the snow, just to give that sort of purpley tinge in the snow. So it sort of keeps that colour tones going and almost reflects the sky. And then for the big colour. So now I'm going to come in with some Flying Fig. So this is your deep purple. And this is just going in the corners. Now, as you can see on my lid, look at that. We are talking a beautiful, deep, rich purple. So I'm just going to add it in the corner, just to add a bit of oomph. Pick a little bit more from the lid. I don't need to go in the ink pad. I've got plenty in my lid. And I'm just going over where I've done that stamping. And then what I'm going to do is just blend that edge a little bit. And in fact, I'm going to come in with my brush with blue on, just to blend that purple out a little bit. Right. But do take your time with that colour because it's such a bright colour. Now in the sky, if you remember, we've got the lovely snowflakes down here. So we're going to add a couple. And these are on this set of the small snowflakes. So there's 2 stamps on their own. And then it's the original snowflake set. And then there's a set with 3 on. Very useful, this. And I'm going to come in with Arctic for this. And so all I'm going to do is choose one. And we'll have some, again, first and second generation. And then the other shape. Little bit of first and second generation. And I don't want to overdo it. In fact, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to listen to myself and stop. Now, you could add some faux bleaching if you want here. I'm not going to on this design. I'm going to leave mine without. So what I'm going to do is I can take my tape off now. So I'm going to come in with my heat tool. Two things, just to dry that ink a little bit. My heat tool's decided it's going on a go slow. But also it'll just help that tape. I mean, it's beautiful and low tack and it'll just come off, look, beautifully. But it doesn't do any harm just to pop the heat tool on it. Now, if you just want your Posca, I'm going to add some Posca Snow in this area, you would add that before taking the tape off. But I want mine to come right across the whole design. So a couple of finishing tricks, I'm going to add some Stickles. So this is our lovely glitter glue and this is Stardust. And it can be a bit rude, it can spit at your work sometimes. So not quite often I put it on my craft mat. And sometimes, if it's got lots of glitter in, if it stops coming out, I just use a hat pin, just as an umbunger. See, I think it had in there. And I'm just going to add a little bit at the base, look, and a little bit here. But what I'm going to do then is I've got myself an empty Wink of Stella brush, and I use this for painting my Stickles, so I write on it Stickles. And I can blend the Stickles out, but also I can just take a little bit and add it to the trees and just dab it on. Because on the trees, I don't want too much. I just want almost a bit of shimmer. So it's like the frost and snow just catching those trees. So this I find it so useful. It helps my Stickles last longer. But also it puts a nice fine bit of sparkle and it will dry quicker. So I can just blend it out, look. Put it exactly where I want it. And then lid on there. And now I'm going to bring in some Posca Splat. So again, just going to add some snow. Now this may not show up sometimes because this is water reactive until dry and then it's permanent. What happens is, because again I've got a water reactive, the elements ink underneath, it may absorb some of the colour. So what I tend to do is add my Posca Snow now, but once the whole design is dry, I will come in and add a little bit more. You see how it's almost absorbing that colour and gone a little bit lilac-y? Well, I'll come back in and add some more Posca Snow later. But what I do want to do, if I show you the finished one, on the lovely, I've put some berries here. And this is the liquid pearls and it dries hard, so it'll be fine in my calendar. And this colour is called Taffy and I just thought it went beautifully. So what I'm going to do is take that out of there. We'll get rid of that. Now this, I would always recommend just try it on your mat first again, because look, it can have wind and again, it just did a little spit there. So we'll clean that up. And I just want to add, and again, you hardly touch the page and just lift up. Now it might be you want to add some gems. And again, because this is the last month, I know I'm not going to be stamping on top of this. But these are just going to be my lovely berries. And again, I'm just dotting and lifting straight up. And you'll find if you do that, they just make the most amazing little peaks. And it just adds another dimension. So as I say, that colour in the liquid pearls is Taffy. It's beautiful. And there is the finished design. And if you look, the whole page, I've added just a touch of ink, very slight, you can only just see it. And that's just cleaning my brush, just so it looks that lovely cohesive design. And we've got the snowflake. So the very last thing, I'm going to add one of my sentiment stickers. And I've gone for the white ones. And here I'm going to add Take a Moment. And I think in December, that's what we need to do. Just take a moment and enjoy the month, because it can be quite hectic, can't it? So just breathe and take it all in. So there's my beautiful calendar page. And then here's the design. And no, I'm not going to put it on top. And I think I'm going to pop that on a card or a gift bag. And I'm thinking I could make a lovely tag to match. Now remember, when you share your calendar pages on our social media, one person who shares will win the calendar that I've created. And yes, even the page where I dropped the ink pad and we had to cover it up, remember? This calendar will be going to one of you. So I hope you've enjoyed the calendar journey with me. And even if you haven't made a calendar, I hope you've made some cards out of the designs. As always, please share. And thank you for your lovely comments. So you take care, and I will see you again tomorrow. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.